I hate retail. Retail is miserable. I thought waiting tables was bad, and then I started working in retail.
Hmm.
I don't know what's worse. Everybody done Christmas shopping?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
finished.
waiting for one more thing to come for my son that I'm kind of panicking that it's not here yet.
I finished today.
That was something I ordered off the beaten path, and I paid for it way back on November 21st and still ain't
Oh
freaking here yet.
wow.
I'm pretty pissed about it.
Gonna wait until there's at least a couple of viewers before we start. Ugh. That shot was a little scary off of JT's head, huh?
Yeah, I actually didn't see it. I was actually on my way down from the press box when that happened, and so I totally missed it. I just saw I heard about it. I saw him afterwards. He was signing some sticks for some kids outside the locker room, and I saw the cut stitched up and saw the dried blood on the side of his head, but I didn't actually see the ear until Chris Howard put that photo out this morning of it.
So someone said, who was it? Staples said it was like a zipper. Ugh.
Oh yeah, well you could see like the chunk of the ear, like not
Yeah,
the lobe, the other part closest to the head that attaches to the head.
just gone.
Just like a piece was just hanging off, and he also had a cut behind the ear as well. So
At least he's okay.
yeah, I'm sure he'll play tomorrow with that. Where they take the earpiece and they cover it up.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
You see more and more guys wearing actual earpieces in the league now too.
they should. I don't know why they just all don't. I mean, it's kind of if you can protect your freaking head more, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. You know who always wore it? Scott Stevens always had
Yes,
earpieces on.
yes. All it is an extra piece of plastic covering the hole. I mean, I don't understand what the
Yeah.
big deal is.
I mean, I took mine out, but I'm an idiot.
It's because you're a tough guy.
I'm just an idiot.
Well, that too.
um,
Mostly a tough guy.
Staples scared the crap out of Isles Twitter today, though, huh?
Well, I mean, it's overreaction. The guy's played a lot of hockey. I mean, he's just came off his first back-to-back. I mean, he took the day off. I
Well,
mean,
did you? Yeah, you saw my instant response in the email, right?
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, I had Scott on my on text alert, because he was there, so he was texting me as the information was coming in, and as soon as we found out that he skated prior to practice, everything's fine.
how long you think until we see pooling?
And
You think it happens?
we'll talk about that for the show. It's
Yeah.
good. That's good talk. Good
Come
conversation
on,
piece.
people. I don't know what to do on Tuesday nights anymore now that Sons of Anarchy is done.
I never watched it. I heard it was really good though.
Ended really well too. I was glad because so many shows get ruined by a bad finale.
Like the Sopranos, maybe.
I don't hate the Sopranos ending.
I don't either, but a lot of people did.
I thought it was all right.
I'm just waiting for my Walking Dead to come back, and
That's a show I could never get into.
oh, it's awesome. I love it.
They made the Shane an asshole.
Well, Shane's dead.
But
Shane
now
died
he is.
like Shane died like back in like season 2.
Oh, see, no, I don't want to go a whole season of the only Shane in the show being an asshole.
Yeah, Shane died
We're not
back
all
in like
assholes.
season 2. Well, that's true. I know a lot of cool Shanes.
Me not being one of them, but still.
I never said that. Hey, look, that's your own stuff.
All right,
That's-
let's do this.
Let's do this. No touching of the hair or face.
Boychuk to center point, skates the line, switches places with Letty. 10 on the power play. Boychuk shovels it behind the net for Strome. Strome in the left wing corner. Carries to the half wall. Above the left circle. Tavares right dot. Fakes the shot. comes into the slot, shoots, they score! The Islanders win it in overtime. 3-2 is the final, and they are mobbing John Tavares in the high slot. Right wing for John Tavares, too far out in front of him, and now Tavares with pressure on Mark Stahl calls a turnover. Okposo shoots and scores! Kyle Okposo's 100th goal in the NHL gives the Islanders their first lead of the night, 3-2 in the opening minute of period 3.
All your New York Islanders news and expert Islanders analysis, from the fourth line in Bridgeport to the first line in Long Island. This is the Dump and Chase Podcast. Okay, everybody, so before we get started today, everyone has heard, obviously, about the tragic events surrounding the execution of 2 New York City police officers this past weekend. We would like to observe a moment of silence in honor of the fallen officers, and we send out our most sincere condolences to their family and friends. Thank you. So with that aside, let's step into the Dump and Chase Podcast, guys. I'm Shane Blackburn. You could follow me on Twitter at ShaneBNHL as always. Alongside me, I have Andy Graziano, who you could follow at Tasman19. He's back this week. And Rich Diaz Rodriguez, who you could follow at RDNHL. How's it going, guys? What's everybody up to?
All right.
Hello. Doing well, doing swell, 23-10. Don't think many people would have projected that at the beginning of the season. I think some of the NHL writers from around the league and such are kind of running for cover right now, not kind of knowing what to say about this team. But 13 home wins all season, 13 out of 16 already this season. So pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah,
I know that was kind of a tongue twister for Shannon to get out in the pregame the other night, but it is an impressive stat that we've matched our home win total from last year already.
I honestly think that the most impressive stat from the obvious ones just mentioned is that the Islanders are the only team in the entire NHL that hasn't lost in overtime.
Yep.
And when you think about teams like Florida, teams like Detroit that have single-digit losses, but they have 8 or 9 overtime losses. That's all the difference.
Yes. Yep.
And that's the difference between the Islanders and those teams and the Islanders of now and in the past. It's very impressive. It's incredible how well they play under extreme pressure, because I would say that overtime isn't the most pleasant experience if you're on the ice trying to salvage a point, especially against a game against the Devils is the one that sticks out. That's a game that they should have lost, but did not.
They would have lost any other year, Rich, right?
Absolutely would have lost any other year.
You know, you look at this team and you look at December 20th of 2013. Let's go back 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Islanders were 10, 19, and 7.
Yep.
Fast forward that 365 days to the same date of 2014, and the New York Islanders are 23, 10, and 0. As you said, Rich, with 9 consecutive overtime / shootout wins, no losses in that department. But I think to look at it, we still have to observe a certain level of caution, right? I mean, let's not go engraving our names on the Stanley Cup just yet.
Why not?
Well, I mean, and this is why I'll say that. And you guys know me by now. Obviously, I err on the side of caution. I'm realistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic. And I say that because so many of the stats are positive. 6-5 start on November 1st, 17-5 since. But today, when I broke down some numbers, I kind of saw. You kind of look around the league and you see other teams that are starting to play really well, which I knew would happen. You know, teams that were started the year kind of sluggish, you knew were going to turn things around. Anyone who wrote off the New York Rangers was just being foolish and ridiculous. I mean, nobody should have thought that the Rangers were just going to go away with that goaltending. I've said it time and time again. That kind of goaltending will win you games, and we're kind of seeing that. When a backup like Cam Talbot can go out and record 2 consecutive shutouts.
Yeah.
The Rangers lead the league in shutouts on the season. That's the kind of team that's not going to go away. I pretty much think it's a 4-team race in the Metropolitan Division for 3 playoff spots. I think Pittsburgh, the Islanders, the Rangers, and Washington will be the 4 teams competing for those top 3 spots. I think the 4th team, honestly, I don't think makes the playoffs when all's said and done.
Agreed.
But to look at the record, I looked at the records of the teams the Islanders have beaten in their 23 wins. And the combined 2014-15 record of opponents in Islanders wins are 287, 214, and 95. Now, if you take the 95, you can look at that 2 ways. The NHL awards that ridiculous loser point. For losing in overtime, you still get a point, which I think, in my opinion, is ridiculous. If you take out the 95 overtime losses, you have what you basically have is 287 wins in roughly 560 games. Regulation wins, which comes out to like a 481 regulation winning percentage. Now, again, you can look at it and say, well, 287, 214, and 95 is well over 500. By the NHL loser point standard, it is, but if you just take simply regulation games won in games played overall, it's under 500. And if you take it on a point scale, it comes out to roughly 92 points over an 82-game schedule. 92 points last year got you out of the playoffs in the East and the 8th spot in the West. So I just, again, I'm being cautiously optimistic. I love this team. I love what they're doing. The SNL line has been fantastic. The 4th line has been fantastic. If that first line was humming, I don't see there being many teams in the league, in the East, definitely, that can keep up.
I mean, if you think about the fact that if you were to take the first 8 teams down the Eastern Conference from Pittsburgh all the way to Washington, even Boston, even Florida, the point differentials that separate a team that is out and the last spot in the Eastern Conference is what, 3 points, 2 points at the most? I think, so if you consider that there are 14 teams in the league with 40 or more points at this moment in time, it shows you that the hockey's pretty leveled. I think as far as like success and wins and what have you, I think it's a relatively strong. I think the power. I felt as if the power shift was on the west side last year. Mm-hmm. I feel right now the Islanders have made me believers into. I believe that it's an even Steven kind of year. I think.
Oh, sure.
I think it's anyone's cup this year, not because we beat Chicago, right? I just think that. I mean, I just really believe that.
I mean, we beat Chicago last year, though, Rich.
Exactly. So that didn't really mean we beat them at the Coliseum. It doesn't matter.
I still think the West. I still think the West is better hockey than the East.
Well, how about this? Rich makes.
It's going to take a lot for me not to believe that.
Rich makes a fantastic point, though. If you look at the top 8 teams in the National Hockey League, right? Mm-hmm. 4 are from the East: and Pittsburgh, the Islanders, Montreal, and Tampa Bay, and 4 are from the West: Anaheim, Chicago, St. Louis, and Nashville. So the top 8 teams in the NHL are split 4 and 4 between the East and the West.
And 9 is from the East, and 10 is from the West, and 11 is from the East,
right.
And 12 is from the West.
Exactly.
And I wanted to say one last thing to Andy's point. And Andy, I agree with you 100%. The New York Rangers are quietly going about kicking ass. They have won 6 straight. No one's talking about that, really. I mean, at least I haven't heard. They're running the longest streak right now in the NHL. They are a dangerous team, and they're a team I will never ever say are out of it. In fact, if there's a race between the Rangers and Washington, the Rangers will win that hands down. I would love to see a Rangers Islanders matchup of some sort. Oh
my God, I would be so that is the thing I am the most excited for. Would be a playoff series.
Bring it.
But I will say this, gentlemen, and I know this is probably not possible if the standings stay as they are, but if I had it my way, I would think that a rematch with the Penguins is in order before anything else.
Well, if everything was to stay the way it is, see, I personally think that the Islanders are going to be in that battle for the division lead all season. But I think at the end of the day, I just think karma is just going to let Pittsburgh get there. That's just my opinion. I'm not, I could be wrong. I could be totally off base, but I don't know if the hockey gods are going to let us overtake Pittsburgh just yet. So I can honestly see the Islanders and Rangers finishing 2 and 3 in the Met, and meeting in the first round with the Islanders having home ice. And I'm going to tell you right now, you want to wait for the old barn to go out, and I don't think it would go out in the first round under that scenario, but if you think of a way for that arena in its last season, the roof is going to absolutely be blown off that place. It's going to be absolutely insanity.
I think that if exactly, the two series that would definitely kind of put like a ribbon on the end of this whole entire venture, that is the Islanders Nassau Coliseum experience. It's a series against the Pens and a series against the Rangers for sure. Obviously, anything after that is absolute gravy.
Yep.
But I say you got to have a rematch with the Rangers and beat them, and then you have to beat, or at least give Pittsburgh everything you've got. In either case, and I know this is way, way too early to say, I honestly can't. If the Islanders bring their game, I just cannot see any team in the East beating them. I'm sorry. Maybe it is complete optimism. Halak at his best is like having. It's like having Hank. It's like having Lundqvist in there. When Lundqvist
No,
guys, listen.
I can't go that far.
I'm very optimistic about this season, but I can't go that far. As much as I would love to.
But here's the thing.
Rangers,
but this is what you guys fail to realize.
Close.
But what you guys fail to realize is that you guys are thinking stats. You're being prejudicial. You got to remember that Henrik Lundqvist was very weak in the playoffs at the beginning. He got his rhythm towards that final game or two. He showed up. He was very sporadic in the playoffs. He didn't show up for that Philly series until I felt until the middle of it, when it was already like.
I just can't go that far, Rich. I can't put, as much as I think Halak has been phenomenal this season and is a key component to why the Islanders are so successerul, I can't put him on the same level as Lundqvist.
But if you did it this way, I know that we're all superstitious and we're also all very mindful of the stats. But I want you to put your blinders on for 1 second and just imagine this. And I'm not going to argue the point anymore because you're both right. But what I'm saying is, if you were to stick to just these 32 games or 34 games, wherever you are, if you were to stick to these 34 games, tell me who in the East is playing more consistently better than Halak? No one.
More consistently better than Halak?
Yeah, like who's a better goalie in the East? Right.
Well, if we're going to go off a regular season, and people are going to crush me for saying this, but right now, if we're going, you said up to right now, right?
Yeah. So in other words, just this
Forget
season.
the past, forget the future.
Yeah,
right
just
now.
Right now.
Marc-Andre Fleury.
Okay, Fleury.
Maybe Carey Price. Maybe Carey Price.
Okay, but dead heat. Would you not agree? The three best goalies: Price, Fleury, and Halak.
Oh yeah, Halak's up there. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
Rich.
But I'm just what I'm trying to say. Why? And Lundqvist is not in that conversation right now. Right now, he's not. He's good, guys. He's Lundqvist. But if you're going to stick to this season, those three goalies you just mentioned, and rightfully so, those are the three best goalies in the East, hands down.
You want to know what worries me? I'll tell you two things that worry me about the Rangers is in a playoff series is that Lundqvist getting red hot.
Yeah.
But I still think that the Islanders in the past have found ways to get to Lundqvist. They found ways to beat Lundqvist. Lundqvist hasn't owned them per se in the past. So that's less of an issue for me than the Rangers just lately have had this annoying knack of, for a team that has no offensive depth whatsoever, and really outside of Rick Nash has no one that I consider an immediate offensive threat, they're 8th in the league in goals per game.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of bothers me a little bit because that's something that I wouldn't have seen out of them. And another thing that bothers me, going back to the Islanders, because that's what this show is about, is our special teams. In the playoffs, that can really, really hurt you.
Yeah.
Your special teams have to. I mean, we've seen teams go on deep runs with a poor power play, but that damn penalty kill, man. If you can't kill penalties in the playoffs, you're in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah. I mean, the Rangers have a goal differential of. I mean, the Rangers plus 12. The Islanders are plus 13.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's pretty even. But that 30th ranked penalty kill at 72.3%. You know, lately it's been 6 of their last 7 they've killed, but man, that unit just has to get better because if that unit goes into the playoffs at 72%, The Islanders would be lucky to last a round with that penalty kill because penalties are going to happen in the playoffs. Playoffs are generally called a lot tighter than the regular season. You'll get a lot of the little infractions, the slashes and the hooks and the holds that are being let go now are going to be called. And
I just, what angers me about this conversation is that you say Fleury, and I have to agree with you. But what angers me about this damn conversation is that Fleury has a seasoned defensive core. Now, Halak is
so do we now, though.
No, we do. But in comparison to the Penguins, it's a shadow of the Penguins.
I don't know about that. I mean,
6 losses, a 30-plus.
The Penguins I don't know what to make of the Penguins, right? 30 goals per game, 30 goals against, 4th in the power play, 5th on the penalty kill. I mean, and they lost Niskanen and Orpik.
Mm-hmm. And Bo Bennett for a little while.
But you have to wonder. But they're a Chris Letang injury away from that D being horrendous. Not horrendous, but they're a Chris Letang injury away from being severely stripped on the blue line. Guy with 20.
But we're a Boychuk injury away from our defense.
Well, I guess it all fits.
Letty, yeah.
I mean, I guess it's the same for every team, right? I mean, you look at every team, and it's all about the injury ninja staying away. It's going to all be about health in the second half after Christmas. It's going to all be about health. If the team that can stay consistently healthy is going to be the team that's going to go into the playoffs on that up note.
Yeah.
And Boychuk's been getting banged around pretty good lately.
Man, he got hit in the head the other day.
No, he got run from behind by Paquette, and we all kind of just looked at each other and just groaned. We were like, "You got to be kidding me right now!"
And it looked worse on TV. I'm telling you. Oh.
Yeah, he seemed fine after the game. I mean, he's always worn a knee brace on his right knee, so that kind of when I first saw it, I was like, "What the hell is that?" But then I remember that he's always worn it. And no, he said he's been taken to some lumps and bruises and bumps, but he seemed to be fine. He said he himself after that hit was a little tentative getting up, but especially since it was only his second game back after the long layoff.
Well,
okay. So I'm just gonna come out and say it. I had to run and pee. So how much did you guys cover the special teams in the couple minutes that I ran to pee?
I spoke about it. I didn't speak about really the intricacies of what needs to be done with it.
Okay, because I think we do need to speak about the special teams. But before I do that, I just want to say one thing about the past 2 games that we saw the Islanders win, mainly about the Tampa Bay game. And I want to ask you guys a question really quick.
Mm-hmm.
At any point, did you think that game was over?
Rich?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
At any point, did you think the Tampa Bay game was over?
Yes, I did. I honestly fell into that rut, into that old way of thinking. I really thought. And when Tavares scored, I'm like, I said, and how many of you thought this? We're going to win this game.
Andy, did you think it was over when Connolly scored?
Well, I'll tell you what I said at the end of the second period. I was upstairs in the press lounge, and I was talking to a couple of people, and my comment to them was, this game has all the makings of a loss on a cheap goal, a 1-0 cheap goal loss.
Yeah,
I said to myself. That I didn't think that shots on goal be damned. I really didn't think that we made Vasilevsky work that hard to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Connolly scored, it wasn't a garbage goal by any means. But yeah, I mean, I started questioning whether we were ever going to get to this guy, and then Tavares gets the goal and responds with probably the greatest "Thank you, baby Jesus" celebration I've ever seen.
It was such a relief.
And then 12 seconds later, as I'm typing out details of the Tavares goal, I hear the
Travis Hammond
go off again, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I just missed the goal because like 12 seconds later, Anders Lee deflects the Hamonic point shot, and that's about it."
I'm gonna admit something here. I was at work watching the game, and last year, this same time, Connolly scores that goal, and I tell the other guys at work, listen, put on whatever basketball game you guys want to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I go back to doing what I'm doing at work.
Yep.
But on Saturday night, they scored that goal, and one of the I give him credit. He's from California and moved here, so it's okay that he's an LA fan. But one of the LA fans was like, "Oh man, you guys are gonna lose on that crappy goal." And I was like, "Listen, that was a pretty nice. Like, it wasn't crappy.
What,
it
the Connolly
wasn't a great goal? Exactly.
That was a nice goal.
Exactly. He was like, "You're gonna lose on that though," and I was like, "Listen," I was like, "Just leave it on." And I tweeted out, this is the perfect example of my point. 2 years ago, Tavares takes over this game and scores on his own.
Yep, I remember that. I
And
remember that tweet.
a couple minutes after that tweet, what does Tavares do? He goes out there and he scores the tying goal. And,
Lucky goal.
And Chad, who I know is a listener of the podcast. I don't know if he's listening live, but I know he'll listen to it in the recorded version. He tweeted at me 3 simple words. You were saying?
Yeah, Chad's a good guy.
And you know what? I think I was saying all along that I think Bailey could be what would wake Tavares up, putting him on that line. I think Bailey is going to be able to wake both of them up. But I think that goal, if Tavares turns around and gets back to the Tavares that we all know and are expecting, I think that Tampa Bay game and that goal are going to be the point everyone looks back to at the end of the season and say that's where his season turned around.
You know, can I say something? You said that last week, and it had me thinking all this week. I wonder if there isn't some give and take when those power shifts and those momentum shifts happen within a team. What do you guys think? I mean, so Tavares ups his game. Couldn't that take away from other aspects of the Islanders game? Like
I don't think so at all, because Tavares is still the leading forward on the team with ice time. So I don't think ice time is going to change at all.
Okay.
So I don't think there's going to be that much of a change. I think if Tavares turns around and gets back onto the pace that and again, the pace we were all expecting, he's got 28 points in what?
32 games? 33 games, yeah.
But if he gets back to being the Tavares I think everyone was expecting this season, I think we start winning games 4-1, 5-1, 5-2 instead of 3-2, 2-1. I think you start seeing the goals just increase rather than there be any problems, because he's already averaging over 20 minutes of ice time a game. So that's not going to change. He's not going to get more than 20 and a half minutes just because he starts playing even better. And you're not going to see other players getting less.
That's what I was asking. Like, I wonder if that would be the case, just because it was the case before.
If he was averaging 18 and a half minutes a game, then yeah, maybe his ice time bumps if he starts to play phenomenal. But at 20 and a half already, I don't think his ice time is going to increase at all. So I don't think you're going to affect the chemistry of this line at all, of the team at all.
You guys are not going to like what I have to say.
Go ahead.
We've spent the better part of the last 2 weeks, and I know that I've spent the better part. I spent a lot of time Saturday night sitting next to my partner in the press box, Christian Arnold of Islanders Point Blank, and we spent a lot of time kind of looking and discussing just what is wrong with John Tavares, and kind of just mulling it over and talking amongst ourselves on different things. And the consensus that we both came to was that we have no freaking idea. It's clearly not physical, so it looks to be mental of some sort. Maybe it's still mentally coming back from the knee injury. We saw the overreaction to the hit by Marek Zidlicki, which there wasn't really much in, to be honest. And the spear, which he got away with. Well, he got the penalty, but he got away with supplemental discipline on the spear.
Which I'm kind of surprised about.
Yeah, me too.
I think that was the first time we saw Tavares get a superstar call.
I think it's definitely in his head mentally. I'm pretty sure it's not physical. And all that game, too, against Tampa, I don't think he looked good at all. He continued to turn the puck over, especially on the power play. And I'm talking about turn the puck over, unpressured. I'm not talking about pressure turnovers. I'm talking about unforced turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's not making the same smart decisions we're used to him making.
And I'm not sure
it looks like he's rushing.
I'm not sure if that one goal kind of puts all that away from me just yet. I'm going to be honest. I'm not.
I forget who said it. Someone said it on Twitter, and I was going to say it and didn't because I saw they did. I agreed 100%, but they said that it's going to take a little bit for Tavares to get. He's used to being the best player on a very bad team. Now he has to get used to being the best player on a good team and not the only. He's so used to being the only option that I don't know if he knows how to play without being.
I don't, Shane. That to me is honestly, to me, I have to say that that's not that strong of an argument for me, and I don't. I really hate to say this, but there's no other way to not say it and make my point. And I was a really, really good hockey player in high school, and my freshman and senior year, I played on horrific teams. My junior and senior year, we imported some guys, and our teams were, championship teams. My stuff, and again, it's apples and oranges because I'm nowhere close in this universe in being a pro, but my play didn't change. Being the best player on a bad team to being the best player still on a good team with more depth and more support. I've always felt that a player of that caliber, if you want to be called a top 5 player in the NHL, you make your line mates better, which is why the argument about the first line needing a true winger with Tavares and Okposo. Shouldn't Tavares be making anybody who Tavares made P.A. Parento. He made Matt Molson.
Thank you. I'm very glad you brought that up because I'm not buying into that first line needs a legit left winger because up until this season he's done it without a legit left winger. He's had one good left winger in his career and that's Thomas Vanek, and that was a very short stint. Besides Thomas Vanek, he's had Matt Molson, he's had P.A. Parento, who neither of them are head and shoulders. Neither of them are better, period, than Nikolai Kulemin.
Well,
and neither of them are head and shoulders better than Josh Bailey when Josh Bailey's playing the way he is this season.
Not only that, but the added depth that the Islanders have this year with the second line of Nielsen, Grabowski, and now Kulemin with the SNL line, with the fourth line playing way over their heads, outstanding hockey. You can't just defend the Tavares line. So that begs the question even more as to what we've seen so far this year out of Tavares with, in my estimation, less attention because teams can't just game plan the Islanders anymore for that one line.
Do you think it's the C?
I don't know. Rich, what are your thoughts?
I have mentioned that I thought I'm just going to say I'm going to put it this way. Maybe this will be answering the question without answering it. There was a moment in time when Clark Gillies said, maybe it's better I gave this to somebody else.
Good point.
It didn't make him less of a force on that line or on that team. It doesn't suit him. Not to say that this is what's going on with John Tavares. I agree that it's not physical. It has to be mental just because of the mistakes that are so uncharacteristically John Tavares mistakes, uncharacteristic. And the behavior that you're seeing. No, that Devils game, Andy and Shane, it wasn't one retaliatory penalty, there were two. And he got away with both of them. And I think he's cashing in his credit way too soon in his career. He's getting away with that way too often. I honestly think that if you don't strip him, you really have to speak with him and to kind of shake him up a little bit. Everybody, no one anymore on this team is immune to being called out. Okay? They're young. They're kids. I don't care how tall or how strong or how touted John Tavares is. He's a kid. He's 24 years old. He's a kid. Okay, and kids make mistakes. Yeah. I don't care how old he looks to you guys on TV. He's a kid.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's a man-child then. How's that? my point is,
no, that's fair.
Yeah, and going back to Kulemin, I think that P.A. Parento was a better finisher than Kulemin, but I think Kulemin, of the two people mentioned, was the best back checker. In fact, I can't find a better back checker on the Islanders squad except for Franz Nielsen, and I still think Kulemin is to quote Babcock, is one of two of the most heaviest players the Islanders have.
I would take PA back in a minute, though. I thought PA and Tavares worked really well together.
I think they were the best combination.
I would take PA back in a minute.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
would you take PA back with Okposo, or would you change that completely?
No, I'd have a Tavares up. I'd have Tavares, Parento, and Okposo, in my opinion. I think that would be the first line for me if we had PA back. But hey, we've been down that road. We sailed that ship.
Well, let's jump into the power play. Before we do, I just want to say one quick thing on Tavares, that if he does get going the way we're expecting him to get going, this team is going to be even scarier to play against. So let's just hope that whatever is bothering him, because that is what it looks like. It looks like something is bothering him. Whatever it is, let's just hope that it goes away quickly and he's able to get back to being himself. But we do have to talk about this putrid special teams because it is horrendous. And I've been nothing but a coaching staff supporter this season, even when they were losing a couple of games there in a row. But it is the ugliest penalty kill I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I don't get. That was really weird. I've never seen the chat bubble pop up like that over your head. Yeah, we'll play the disclaimer in a little bit. But I've never. I was on a roll. I've never seen. I don't get the roving forward at the top of the zone, and it's clearly not working. If we were middle of the pack penalty kill, I'd say it was working. But someone help me out here with this because I just don't know. Is there a way to improve our penalty kill?
I think Grabner's a big missing part of that. Who, by the way, Grabner looks pretty damn healthy to me. I know I'm not a doctor and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but this looks like one of those convenient buy us some time for a roster move injuries. But I do think Grabner's a big part of that. He's such a threat offensively, believe it or not, on every penalty kill that he's out there on, that you have to account for him, especially when the D are going point to point at the blue line. I don't like the way our penalty kill has been passive. I think whenever we've had success on the penalty kill, and to be honest, we haven't had much success the last couple of years, but when it's worked because of pressure. It's worked because we played an aggressive box. And I think we're giving the point men too much room, too much liberty, too much space. And then by that time you have you're outnumbered in the slot 3-2, sometimes 2-1 even down lower by the crease area. You're just making it very difficult on Halak. I think teams have been throwing a lot of bodies in front. They've been throwing a lot of traffic, and with the lack of pressure on the points, you're allowing those guys the time to make the right decision, which most times on an NHL team's power play, those guys are going to do. So in my opinion, it's all about going back to a more aggressive box and pressuring the puck more. I think it's all about a willingness to do that. And I also think I'd like to see a little more shot blocking from the Islanders, to be honest with you. I don't think we've seen enough of that this year. I don't have the advanced stats on that, but I mean, from the eye test, we haven't blocked many shots on when we're killing penalties, and that's a big component of your penalty kill also. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about being more aggressive and really just clogging up, just getting bodies in the shooting lanes.
Rich, how do you think we improve the penalty kill?
I don't understand this coaching staff sometimes. They should just see the way other teams play us. Boychuk is clogged up. I mean,
right.
I mean,
they took it away after, 5 games of seeing it? They're like, we got to cover Boychuk on the power play.
Exactly. It took 5 games before people realized, we got to cover this guy. Right. He can actually shoot the puck.
And they started shadowing a guy out up high on him.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. They just wait and wait. They keep moving back to the hashtags. The next thing you know, there's like 7 guys in front of Halak, and it goes in.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's what you've been saying since last season. There's this passive box that needs to go away. We have a goalie that can, that knows how to play under the pressure situation. So go up there and be aggressive and go and cut off the lane and clog it up. And well, without Grabner, I guess they're being a bit tentative because there's no breakout. But still, they got to change it up. It's too slow. It's just too weak. Just too weak.
All right. So what about the power play? I'll
go ahead.
I'll talk about the penalty kill for a second, even though I'm the one who brought it up. How we do have to be far more aggressive at the points. I agree with that, but in a different way. Because when we're aggressive at the points, it's that one forward going side to side, and then the second forward just kind of stands there and looks like he's lost. I'd rather see a large aggressive box rather than the roving forward. I think if we get a large aggressive box going and we keep as many shots as we can to the outside, I think a big problem with our penalty kill is besides Hamonic and Boychuk, we don't have a big defenseman. And the guy gets in front of Halak and he just doesn't move. Hickey's not going to move him. Wisnowski's not going to move him. Leddy is a finesse skill defenseman. He's not going to toss people around. So if you put besides Boychuk and Hammer, you're not getting rid of these big guys in front of Halak on the penalty kill, and I think that's been a very big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where I think Reinhardt makes a big difference, because that gives you 3 physical defensemen instead of just 2 in the lineup, which means each pair could potentially have that big physical defense.
And for anybody that wants to tell me, when I know somebody will, that the Islanders are 8th in the NHL in blocked shots with 1,242, actually tied for 7th with 1,242 with Anaheim. If you can honestly tell me, to go along with that the eye test tells you that makes sense to you, then I'll accept that as your opinion, which you're entitled to have. But to me, blocked shots is probably about as arbitrary as status hits. So the stats say that the Islanders are tied for 7th in blocks as
But that's
a team,
also
but-
even strength blocks.
Well,
too.
yeah, that's everything. You're right. That's total blocks. It doesn't break it out by special teams and 5v5 blocks.
But now let's talk about the power play. How do we improve the power play? I mean, the penalty kill is worse, because the penalty kill is dead last in the league. There's not a team worse than us.
Yep.
The power play, we're right smack in the middle. We're 14th in the league. We're sitting at 18.5%.
2 for the last 20.
2 for the last 20.
Yep.
But how do we improve on this power play? Let's start with Rich on this one.
I just think this is now something more singular, more individualistic when we're talking about things. I think too much cuteness, too many ticky-tack attempts, and too many just shoot the puck. It's very simple. 2 passes at the most. 3rd is a shot. Have you seen how many times they pass the puck? I mean, they got a 2-on-1. They pass it back and forth. They eat it up. I think it was a Devils game that happened to Oposo. For me, it's just they need to be a little bit more, I guess, deliberate. Is my point. They're not deliberate.
I agree they need to shoot more. I don't agree with the 2 passes, Rich. A good power play is a power play that moves the puck a lot. A good power play is a power play that moves the puck smart when they move it a lot, though, and that's what our power play is not doing. The one pass that I see our power play make over and over again is from the boards on the hash marks to the point, and that's where it gets taken away. By eye test, I would say 6 times out of 10.
The pass that I see that's most annoying is that they're in the slot instead of taking the damn shot and see if you can, just.
But Rich,
they pass it and it gets eaten up and it gets clogged up with all the bodies and then it gets passed out. That's the pass
Rich,
that I always.
And I know Andy will have my back on this one. From wherever we're sitting, you have no idea what. And I'm going to use Kyle Okposo because he seems to make that pass the most. But you have no idea what they're seeing. If he looks up and he has absolutely 0 chance of getting it through to the net, I'm not shooting it either, because I would rather attempt to force a pass through to the boards than fire one towards the net and watch it hit a knee pad and go all the way down the other side of the ice. Or, God forbid, if we're playing a team with a Grabner-esque player, bounce off the knee pad and he's gone on a breakaway because there's no one behind me.
But then go to the boards. Go away from the net. Go and reset the play.
I will never, ever be mad at a power play for not taking a shot right away unless I can clearly see there is no reason not to take it. If I can't see that, which 9 times out of 10 in the split second of the play, wherever you're sitting in the arena, you can't tell whether or not he should have shot it. I will never be one of the people who scream shoot from my seat in the arena because I don't know what he's seeing. With that, the passes have to be way stronger and way smarter. We throw that fancy little, I don't even know what to call it. My 2-year-old cousin could probably pass it harder than some of them make the passes on the power play, and that's why it gets picked off so often. Andy, how do we fix this power play?
Me? Oh, sorry.
This guy.
I'm all kidding. Power play is interesting. And I'll tell you guys a funny story. I told you guys this already, but the listeners haven't heard it, and I'll kind of put myself out there as taking the big goat horns on this one. Last Saturday, I was out at the morning skate, and I'm talking to Capuano about the power play, and he used exactly the term, the phrase that Rich used, and that's basically just being too cute. Trying to make the perfect play, trying to make the fancy play instead of keeping it simple. I happened to agree with Jack. So I then went into the room, and for some reason, I went up to Kyle Oposo. I don't know why, because he's not really a great conversationalist, to be honest with you. Someone who, as you guys know, I've always pretty much avoided. But I decided to go up to Kyle and was talking to him about that night's game against the Blackhawks and what have you, and I happened to mention the power play. I said, so Kyle, the power play has been kind of struggling, the penalty kill's been struggling, what do you have to do better to kind of get those units going? And he kind of looks at me with this face like he wanted to rip my throat out, and he's like, the power play's struggling? Really? Well, that's news to me. I mean, we got one the other night. We got one in, the game before that. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of struggling. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, Cappy thinks it's struggling. My opinion is it's struggling. Kyle thinks it's going great. Since then, 2 for their last 20. So take that for what it is. Just simply, again, I agree with Rich. I agree with Capuano. It's just too fancy. Not enough pucks to the net. But you know what? More importantly than that, there's nobody in front of the net even. So fine, you get a puck to the net. There's nobody there for the dirty goal. There's nobody there for rebounds. As Shane said, the passes are just slow and calculated. There's not really a lot of cycling going on. There's not a lot of movement going on. And honestly, with the skilled players you have out there, I really don't know how the hell you fix that. You just keep throwing them out there and hoping that they just figure it out on their own, I guess. I mean,
I know I'm going to
How
get...
do you fix it?
I'm afraid to go on Twitter after I say what I'm about to say.
Say it, baby. Say it.
Especially since I know how many people love Kyle Okposo.
Okay.
I would love to see our power play be on the forward end of the power plays. I would love to see Tavares, Nelson, and Lee.
Yep.
And on the point, Strome and Leddy.
Okay, so what's your second unit though?
Because Lee, I don't care about a second unit because that first unit's gonna score. No, if I really had to make a second unit out of that, my second unit is Okposo, Okposo, Nielsen, and Bailey.
Okay.
And then you know what? No, Okposo, Grabowski, and probably Bailey with Nielsen on the point with Boychuk.
All right. Well, one, you know that I cannot stand the 4-forward power play. I can't stand it. I don't think that a forward's natural instincts have him at the point. And I've played that when I've played, and even when I played men's league, I played the point on a power play, and it just never felt right to me. It never felt. I never felt comfortable. And
look at my first setup though, Andy, and here's why I'm going to tell you I think it would work. So you have Lee, Tavares, and Nelson up front, and then you have Leddy, and you have Strome on the point.
Yeah, garbage, but you're going to use up all your garbage men on one.
The reason I like that.
Hold on, Chad goes. Put the SNL line out there and tell him it's 5-on-5.
But the reason that I like that is because you have Lee and Nelson who go to the net and get the dirty goals, and then you have Tavares, Strome, and Leddy, who all can quarterback the power play at any point they have the puck.
But let's think about it. But you're missing one important factor of a power play, which is what? Puck retrieval.
Yeah.
You have to be able to retrieve and win the puck on the boards. And
Lee and Nelson.
Let me finish. Kyle Okposo is the beast on the team when it comes to that. Anders Lee is, to me, looking like the next coming of Kyle Okposo, in that, especially with his board play. But I don't think he's there yet. Kyle Okposo wins more pucks on the boards and in the corners than, next game, I think, just for curiosity, I may just literally just track that stat on how many pucks he wins in board battles, because it's tremendous.
Andy, if you do that, can you also keep track of Bailey? Because I think Bailey is deceivingly good at that.
Bailey defensively, advanced stats and the eye test will tell you that Josh Bailey defensively, that's why he has a spot in this lineup, because of his defensive play.
He just took the words right out of my mouth. He comes back a lot on the plays, much better than any Islander I know, except that isn't Kuhlman or Nielsen.
You guys know I coach high school, and obviously that's nowhere near the same universe of level like you said before, Andy.
I'll relate to you.
This power play has the same problem mine does on the team I coach, and that is getting into the zone and setting up. The minute that puck is out, if we win that initial face-off, we get a decent setup out of it. The minute they clear the puck, The next minute and 30 seconds of that power play is useless.
I think the Islanders' zone entry is good. I think the zone entry is fine. It's just once they get into the zone, it's like freaking organized chaos. It's
just by eye test though, they get stopped at that blue line far too often.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But and once they get in, it's like no one knows where to go. They get in and they're like, oh crap, where am I going to now?
Right. It's like organized chaos. But you really want to try to avoid dumping and chasing on a power play, because then you're relying on your forwards getting in there fast enough to outnumber the defense on the boards and of course win the puck.
And the guy you would normally rely on to carry it in is having an off year. And that's Tavares. Normally you would give the puck to Tavares coming through the neutral zone, let him carry it in and set up.
Although Leddy's been fantastic.
Leddy's been one of our best puck possession guys just by the eye test. I'm not looking at any advanced stats right now.
Absolutely.
Just by the eye test, Leddy's been one of our best puck possession guys. But normally you would let Tavares carry it in, bring it wherever he wants to bring it and start the setup. But he hasn't been able to do it yet. Which is why I think putting Strome on that power play may help, because Strome is another puck possession guy who's going to be able to hold on to it, and he's smart enough to make the right pass when he does get the setup started.
Who knows? I mean, maybe, you know what? Maybe Chad's onto something. Maybe you throw the SNL line out there on a power play and see what they do. I mean, they're playing so damn well 5v5. I don't think it would hurt. Definitely wouldn't hurt. They got so much chemistry, those three. It's unbelievable. They just
the fourth line out there.
Everything that they worked on in Bridgeport, and those three are very close off the ice as well, especially Nelson and Lee. It's incredible how you could clearly see it translating in every facet. When we go into the room, especially after morning skates, they're generally all together. After the game, they're together, and then you can kind of see that chemistry really, really coming to fruition on the ice. I mean, it's really been an outstanding line for the Islanders once they got put together. And like I said before, I've said it twice now this show, this will be the third time, that fourth line has been well above and beyond any fourth line in the league that I could think of. I mean, they are just, not only have they added an obvious physical presence and have been responsible defensively, but, man, they've been cycling like beasts.
They're impossible to get off the puck in the offensive.
Yeah, they've been getting that puck down low and keeping it in the opponent's zone for long stretches on their shifts.
And let's highlight something. Tavares -5, Oposo -3, Pullman -2.
Yep.
Those are the only players.
Strome +12.
So Strome's +12, Nelson's +6, Lee is +4. Sazika is +4. Where is my boy Martin? Martin is a +2, and Clutterbuck is a +6. There's only 3 players that are active right now consistently. The 3 players I just initially mentioned that are in the minus. Everybody else is either level at par or 1 or 2 or even 12 points in the plus.
Ryan Strome is +12? Wow.
Yes, leading the team +12. He's above even Leddy.
Okay, so 15 assists.
Tell me that's not insane.
That's insane. Okay, Oposo's got 28 points. He got 21 assists. Okay, so Oposo leads the team, right? But 15 assists, 6 goals, 21 points. Ryan Strome has shown up for his sophomore year, if you will.
And that's all even strength points, too.
All even 5e.
Which could add to why he's +12, but still.
It's unbelievable.
But that's what you want. I mean, you want your teams to succeed at even strength. You want to outscore because power plays are so subjective and vary so much from game to game that you have to dominate your 5v5 play. And I think when the Islanders were 6-5 and they were kind of going through and even when they went through their second 3-game losing streak of the season just recently, that's where we saw the dip in their play was in their 5v5 play. I think once they started getting that back, that's when you start really seeing a difference in this club. And again, to see the fourth line back to where they were 2 years ago with even better with replacing Colin McDonald with Cal Clutterbuck. Again, I don't see a team when all the lines are going. I don't see a team that is 4 lines deep, maybe outside of the LA Kings as the New York Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even being that, believe it or not, is being cautiously optimistic as I like to be.
I just think it's just an amazing. When I look at these stats, I'm just blown away.
It's been amazing. It's been an amazing start,
season.
but that's just kind of why I think the nature of an Islanders fan, and I know that we're now expected to be something a little bit different. I'm not going to use any other word than just different, because at the end of the day, we're still at our core fans. But I just think you kind of always, unfortunately, wait for that that anvil to drop on your head.
Well, I'm really hoping that anvil doesn't drop, Andy. I mean, this is just too fun of a ride. I mean, for me, this is the first real bout of success that I'm able to enjoy as an Islander fan. I mean,
absolutely, especially for you young kids, Shane, and that's why I made it a point. My column, what we try to do at Insight is pretty simple. We come out with a pregame report. We come out with a quick postgame report as soon as within 30 minutes of the game ending for fans to read and enjoy. And then the next day, the person who covered the game in the press box, either myself, Rich, or Scott Charles, does a game story piece, which is basically an angle that you took from the season to that point, including that game or that game specifically. And when I was out there Saturday morning, I happened to talk to Capuano and Matt Martin about what makes this team different in the sense of 3-game losing streak early in the year, rip off a huge winning streak. 3-game losing streak here, 4-game winning streak. And what makes this team able to not allow that to spiral out of control like it would have in recent seasons. And I followed that up after the game by getting more out of Josh Bailey and Johnny Boychuk, and that was enough for my column, which I put out on the site on Sunday. And I just think, that they all said pretty much this, a similar, along the similar lines of, just maturity. The team has gotten much more confident. They've gotten much more mature. They've learned from their past mistakes, and they're just not willing to let a couple of games that they've lost really get them too low. And at the same point, they're not allowing themselves to get too high after wins either. And they're trying to keep that very even keel mentally, because it is an 82-game grind, and I think they're finally starting to get it. It's just like mentally, everything's finally starting to click and sink in with this team.
All right, so we're going to get to our new segment, which is going to be the 3 stars in a couple minutes. But before that, there's one thing I want to talk about, and that is the only perceived negative so far of this season. I think everybody knows what that is.
Well, we kind of did we cover it already, or are we going to rehash it? Because I think it's the only one thing.
All right. Sorry. The second negative season.
Because there's only one negative for me right now, and that's the one we discussed last week.
And that's Chad Ochocinco.
Exactly.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
At what point do we possibly see Kevin Poulin get another shot as the backup of this team?
Shane, you said it last week. If he blows another game where he's blown out 4-1, 5-1, you have to consider it. I'm sorry. Everybody was ready to wring Nabokov's neck. Now all of a sudden everyone's quiet about Johnson, and we're tippy-toeing around this issue. It's not. This is a serious issue. And
9-6-1, a 2.54 goals against average, and a 9.24 save percentage for Poulin.
And what's CJ's? 8-8.
That's a good question.
It's 8-8 something. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. It is 8-6-8. 224 and
obviously,
3.59.
Obviously, 2 completely different levels of team they're playing against. That goes without saying. But still, at what point does Kevin Poulin get his next chance?
How many starts has Chad Johnson made so far this year?
9.
9?
Yeah, I think so. 9 or 10.
Well, if you think about it this way, if you think about, I felt coming in that Jaro Halak needed to play 55 to 60 games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So call it 60 games. That leaves 22 starts for Johnson. That leaves, that only leaves 13 more starts till the end of the year. And that'll put Halak at 60. I think we can deal with 13 more starts out of Chad Johnson from now until April, in my opinion. He's not going to touch the crease in the playoffs.
So 7 with Johnson, you're okay with that?
If we go in 13 games, if we go 6-7 with Johnson, the fact that we're 23-10 right now, if we go 6-7 and Johnson's 13 starts, we're fine.
My only problem is we look like a different team in front of Johnson.
That's my
we
point,
we
man.
look like the team that played in front of Nabokov. We look like a team that is never is never comfortable with a lead and is terrified to give up shots.
We fall back on our heels and our laurels, and we're sitting and waiting for
But
the attack.
again, at 23-10, with the points that we've put in the bank,
And
Okay.
like you said, he's not going to touch the crease in the playoffs, so it's not.
It's really not. If we were, 17-15 right now, or 16-14 or something like that, in that range, I'd be a little more worried about it. But at 23-10, I'm not really. Like I said, I'm not really too concerned.
Wait, I'm sorry I missed this, but did CJ get the? Do we know if CJ starting tomorrow?
I'm thinking it's going to be Halak again. I don't see why you don't ride Halak right into the holiday break and then you start CJ on Saturday against Buffalo.
I think so.
In my opinion, you start Halak to close out the Christmas break, and then you start Johnson Saturday against Buffalo.
I just think you have to. If Price is going to play, you play Halak. Go.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. They gave him the day off today. He worked out prior to the Islanders practicing on his own, so he pretty much got the day off from a stressful practice. He's fine physically. He's had 2 days off now since Saturday. I think you start him and you play Johnson's. I think you give Johnson another shot to fix his game against the Sabres.
It's a good game to do so. Good game to do so.
All right,
I
guys.
agree. I think Jack's got to play the. Jack's going to play the schedule at this point. He's going to go with the hot guy, and he's going to play the schedule.
Yep.
All right, let's start to wrap up here, and let's start to wrap up with our newest segment to the Dump and Chase podcast, and let's do our 3 stars of. I don't know if we can really call it a week. Because the way we do the show, Wednesday to Wednesday is not really a week. Obviously today's Monday, but that's because Wednesday's Christmas Eve. But let's go with 3 stars of the past. Now let's just call it 3 stars of the week.
Oh my God! Make up your mind, dude.
But let's start with Andy here. Andy, who do you have 3 stars of this week? Star number 3.
Ooh, star number 3. I'm gonna have to go with. Star number 3, I'm gonna have to give it to every member of that fourth line. I'll say it one more time. I think they deserve it. Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck, and Matt Martin.
Okay.
That fourth unit gets my 3rd star. I think my 2nd star goes to Travis Hamonic, who's pretty much come back and, like a fish to water, has not looked even a step out of place. So good to have him back. Say what you want about. Rightly so, the impact of Johnny Boychuk and Nick Leddy, but Travis Hamonic is clearly the number 1 defenseman on this team, in my opinion. And the number 1 star, Yaroslav Halak, without a question of a doubt. It's been an absolute rock solid 3-2 shootout win against New Jersey, 2-1 win in Detroit, 3-1 win against Tampa. Been fantastic.
All right, Rich, who do you have starting with number 3?
Anders Lee. Just absolutely phenomenal. He's all over the place. He's a fearless hockey player. Just a great young talent. Very happy to see him doing well. 2nd star is Brock Nelson, who is, for me, just pure money, absolute money player. That goal that he did, basically sprawled on the ice, that was just a sight to behold, man. That was a beautiful goal. And number 1, without a doubt, is Yaroslav Halak.
All right, my number 3, guys, is Nick Leddy. I think Leddy has stepped up when he has to. I think he's our best puck-carrying defenseman. I also think he is a very solid defensive defenseman when he has to be. He's not oversized, but he plays well. My number 2 star is Yaroslav Halak. Obviously, that goes without having to say why he's in here. He's been phenomenal. He's the backbone of this team right now. And my number 1 star is Brock Nelson, just because I love the way he plays. He always goes hard. He scores the dirty goals. He scores the nice goals, and he's not afraid to go into the dirty areas and grab the puck. So that is 3 stars of the week. We're going to do that every week. I kind of like it. I hope you guys do too. 3 stars of the week is kind of fun for us to do. We get to really look at the team and pick the 3 players that we as individuals think contributed the best to the team. But that about does it here for the Dump and Chase podcast. Andy Graziano at Tasman19. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'd like to wish everybody a very safe and happy holiday. I send personally my best wishes out to you and your families. Secondly, keep a lookout. We're going to be moving to our new home at the Blogwin Sports Network shortly. No change for the reader with the exception of how the site's going to look. URL stays the same, staff stays the same, content stays the same. But definitely more syndication for us, and it's going to get us out there across a wide swath of hockey networks. So thanks for reading. Thanks for always supporting. And, again, have a great holiday.
Awesome.
Rich Diaz Rodriguez at RDNHL. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, just wishing everyone a happy holiday. Enjoy the family. God bless, and see you guys soon.
And I'm Shane Blackburn. You can follow me at ShaneBNHL. Make sure you guys check out IslandersInsight.com, the DumpandChasePodcast.com. Follow us on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, however you guys want to get all your Dump and Chase podcast needs. Also, however you want to get the Islanders Insight crew, because they are, in my humble opinion, the best crew that follow the New York Islanders. So that'll do it for episode number 40 of the Dump and Chase podcast. I'm Shane, they're Andy and Rich, and until next week, let's go Islanders. All right.
I'm trying to figure out who this Favre fan is.
This guy is fantastic.
He's either a Ranger fan or he's a member of Isles Nation. One or the other.
He just wants to watch the world burn.
But it is wow. I mean, it's been pretty entertaining, I have to say.
I've enjoyed
beef.
it.
I have no beef with the guy trolling. I don't troll back. So I'm just having fun with reading what he's putting out there. And man, I'll tell you, this has been some good stuff.
I'll tell you, he's phenomenal at being a troll too.
Yeah, he's great at it.
He's so good at it.
And like I said, we're never going to find out who it is because he's hiding behind an anonymous account. But it's been pretty funny. I think if you get you can't get too crazy about it.
Ugh. So Andy's not going to the game tomorrow.
Nope.
Rich, you
is supposed to
are.
be going.
I might very well be going. Just had a really rough day today.
I am definitely going. So if you go, make sure you let me know.
Absolutely.
Because I still don't believe that you exist.
Oh,
The only person I've met is Andy.
exists. Rich exists, all right.
The only person I've met is Andy.
Yes, we have met. That's because we share.
That's all you need.
That's because Shane, we share such a kinship. We went to the same high school. We both played and coached hockey.
Is that why both of us can't do math?
Exactly. That's why both of us also can't do math. Exactly. But it's a definite kinship that you and I share. That's why we had to
definitely
meet. It was like fate that we met.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, I know. I'm actually regretting I said that. As soon as I finished saying it, I instantly regretted I said it.
You know the best part of, even though I'm not recording this still all goes on YouTube.
That's fine. I don't care.
That was fantastic.
I never run from what I say. I never delete what I type on social media, and I never run from what I say. That's the most important thing.
We actually got screwed yesterday.
With what? Why?
We played St. Francis,
Okay.
and we had 16 penalties, and they had 5.
What?
And up until last game, we had no more than 4 in a game.
How did your team take 16 penalties?
Well, I wasn't there. I had work, so my other coaches were telling me they were flipping out. They gave one. I swear to God, this is exactly what I was told by 3 separate people. Same exact thing. My assistant captain was standing in front of their net, getting punched in the back of the head,
Right.
and they gave their player 2 minutes for roughing, and my assistant captain a 10-minute misconduct.
Again, though, without seeing it, you really can't make a comment on it without seeing it. You
Right.
you would have had to seen it. I mean,
But I was told this by 3 different people, one of which isn't a part of my team. He was there because his game was after it. So I was like, I know one of my coaches filed an official game report and a ref evaluation form and called the president of the league flipping out.
Wow.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was that bad. So, should be a fun rest of the go here.
Unbelievable.
Well,
16, Jesus. I never even heard of that.
That's what I said. I was like, we haven't had more than 4 throughout the rest of the season. We had 16.
They
And
should've
we
called
had, of the 16 penalties, we were shorthanded like 12 times, and we only gave up 2 goals.
You're not allowed to have more than 4 or 5 without you getting fined or something like that.
Well, that's what we thought. USA Hockey, 15 penalties, and the coach is suspended for a game.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently the Catholic High School League in New York isn't USA Hockey.
The Catholic High School League, maybe.
Why do fans continue to insist on coming to Nassau Coliseum in a Rangers jersey when the
I'll
Rangers
never
and
get
Islanders
it.
aren't even playing?
Although I'll tell you right now, one of my favorite parts of when I'm not at the game is looking for a tool in every shed post
Yes,
on the hardcore
yes.
page.
I don't understand that.
I really don't get it. Like, I understand if we're playing Tampa and you show up in a Tampa shirt, or if we're playing a team that you like, but why does someone always have to show up in a Ranger shirt? I don't get it.
I don't know. I really don't.
Well, I'm
I'll
gonna
never understand it.
I'm gonna hit the dusty trail.
All right, you knuckleheads.
I gotta go pee again. I drank too much water during this.
I'll be
I
in
gotta
touch
stop doing that.
tomorrow. It looks like the Blogwin thing is working its way to completion. They're almost done with our site. So hopefully within the next day or two, we're going to start talking about transferring and importing everything over, and at which case they'll flip the switch, and it should be pretty much seamless.
I'm trying to find. Wait, hold on.
Really no change for us. It's WordPress is their CDN, so there's no change in terms of there's just a couple of, I'll look through the document that he sent, because I know there's a couple of new sections. Like, for instance, we're now going to have a dedicated media section where we can post tweets, and we could put like Reagan's GIFs in there and stuff like that.
Nice.
So
I can't seem to find the email they sent. I could have sworn I saw it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I sent you the one of him basically and telling that all our usernames are set up and shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So once that's officially done, it should be pretty seamless. Like I said, I'll read through what he sent and see about the intricacies of like those couple of new sections that we could post in. But in terms of people, putting regular posts and shit up, it shouldn't be any different.
Okay.
And we're gonna have unlimited access to Getty Images. So
That's the beautiful thing right there.
That's awesome.
yeah, that's probably the biggest part of the deal, Shane. I don't know if you heard, but I'd actually reached out to Getty to see what it costs for a monthly image license, and it was $2,500 a month for limited access.
Damn.
Yep. And
Well, that's pretty sweet then. If we're gonna,
we now have an
that's probably
unlimited.
the best part.
Yeah. We now have an unlimited access to Getty Images for both post and featured images. So
Mhm.
Wow. That's
yeah,
pretty
it's
sweet.
pretty.
Oh well, we're looking good. All right, guys.
And in terms of the Dump and Chase podcast, Shane, I think it looks better now. All I need you to do is go in and re-put up the ads and just go in and re-put up the ads that you had on the previous one.
Yeah.
And then I think with every post now I want to use an actual featured image.
Okay.
All right, instead of just using the logo. I think, just like you would write a regular column post, put a featured image on it.
Okay.
You can grab one out of if you log into to our site, you could just go into our media library and just grab an image, save it down, and then use that as the featured image. I just think it'll make the site pop more. It'll make the site look better.
Okay. And you have the iTunes and RSS feeds
Yeah,
up there.
just like I said, add whatever you want in terms of the sidebar. I know you got to add your ads back. But
and I got to add the Stitcher. The Stitcher's really the only thing I got to add back.
Okay. And then
Stitcher's
other than
where we
that,
get a lot of hits from.
And then other than that, just like I said, when you post the edited podcast, just use an actual featured image from our image library.
From which image library?
The Isles Insight image library. Just grab one out of the Isles Insight image library and then use it as a featured image on the podcast.
So would I download it to my computer and then upload it?
Yep.
Okay, that works.
All right.
Sounds good to me, guys.
All right.
All right, my brothers.
All right. Take care, guys. Talk to
All
you
right, have a
soon.
good night, pal.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good holiday. Oh, he left. Bye, guys.